Minotaurs are extremely tough opponents, able to overwhelm even the strongest defense. Their full swing ability deals extra damage. Basanda is a whole new level of dangerous and represents a baseline for the last few bosses we have yet to encounter in this scenario. Her Thanatos summon will, without exception, kill any single target, but like other summons, its effects can be diluted by keeping your force packed close together. Her high hit points and reasonable resistance to magic make her a difficult opponent to bring down. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Let's Play Shining Force 3. This is Battle 27 in the Aspia Catacombs. We have a sync point, so I'm going to explain that to you right now. Spiriel is blocking the way to Basanda and will not hesitate to tear your force asunder should you give her the opportunity. Killing her is the easiest option, which, unlike our first encounter, will result in her dying for good. If we do kill Spiriel, however, she will be unable to join Slate's force in Scenario 3, and she is an extremely powerful and flexible combatant. Leaving her alive will make our job much harder, since she will continue to harass the force as we battle Basanda, unless we are able to use sleep to keep her in check. Yes, probably the trickiest sync point in the game, aside from the whole peasant rescue thing that happened over at the switching point. Keeping Spiriel alive is a nasty prospect. She's capable of doing a lot of damage. The ability she had when we first encountered a tornado has been upgraded to an ability called Death Drive, which does significantly more damage. It can damage basically everybody that she touches. There's no one's defense can stand up to a Death Drive. It won't kill, generally speaking, but in combination with dealing with Basanda and the other monsters on this level, it can make deaths very likely. Sleep is the best way to deal with Spiriel. Putting her to sleep will, of course, remove the threat. However, she is basically a boss character, which means she's got very high luck, very high resistance to magic like sleep. Sleep tends to wear off very quickly, assuming that it works at all, and I brought two characters today who actually have sleep. That's Hagan and, of course, Noon with the magic wand. So I'm going to have to rely on their powers to try and keep Spiriel out of the way as we pass her and then go to engage Basanda. This is quite tricky. Just to make matters worse as well, we're going to have to deal with the 6th and final ruin, which is on this level. It's not a very tricky one. It's not very hard at all, but it does mean that we're down 2 force members who are going to go inside and deal with what's there. The execution is very easy once you know what you're doing. It's nothing like 4 or 5 where we run into issues. It's relatively simplistic, but it does rely on one particular gimmick, and you'll get to see what that's all about soon enough. In the meantime, the rest of our force will move onwards. We're going to have to engage the monsters along the way, pass Spiriel, and hopefully do so while keeping Spiriel in check, because, of course, moving the force past Spiriel, if she decides to wake up and attack one of our force members, as she has been known to do, we could have a lot of deaths on our hands. Not too good. This level is an absolute nightmare for choke points. These bridges cause us a lot of problems. Indeed, as we engage Basanda, you probably noticed on the flyover at the start of the video, and there you can see it right there, there is a long bridge there. That is the only real way to access the island where Basanda is standing. She will go out of her way to block your advance there, as will the monsters that she's got guarding her. Those Minotaurs are relatively formidable, certainly in comparison to what we've seen so far. They can do a lot of damage, they're tough to take down, and in combination with Basanda's magical abilities, well, we could run into some serious trouble. It's not the toughest battle in the game, but it's pretty close. The toughest ones are yet to come. Now, keeping Hagan alive is going to be the real challenge. We need him for his sleep ability. That's to back up Noon's sleep, who, of course, is going to chew through mana. Hagan even more so, but it's good to have the backup there. However, he's fragile as all hell, and if he gets hit by Spiriel, then he is basically toast. As to whether or not he dies, well, we don't really care because he hasn't established any friendships with anyone, so there is really no penalty besides the resurrection cost. But it's never good to have a character die, let's be honest. They can't get any experience when they're dead. For the moment, I want to sort of keep him back a little bit. I don't want to risk the Spirial and the lizard men making a quick meal of him. A pen with the support on there, very powerful, very strong, very defensive. Shouldn't have any problems there, but again, we've been choke pointed, really. We're going to have to break our way through this one way or the other, and Hayward and Penn shouldn't have too much of a problem with that. It does slow everything up. It's deliberately designed to do that, which is why I don't particularly like this battle, to be honest. It's challenging and fun, which is always good, but overabundance of choke points all over the bloody place. The reliance on range is irritating. Now, I've skipped forward a little bit here, and I'm basically sick of this Spirial, so I'm going to get rid of him. You might think it unwise to use a lot of mana this early, especially with Noon needing to cast Sleep, but you also need to bear in mind something we haven't used yet. We have a couple of Goddess tiers in the inventory of members of the Force, so if we do run out of mana, we'll be able to use Goddess tiers to carry on casting Sleep. Now, I've broken a nice hole there. I want to move Penn, if at all possible. I'm going to move him around the side there, just so that we don't get blocked off again. Say if the Minotaur or the Mage decides to go down there, and that guy is toast. He's still got it. Don't know why lizard men are still here. They pose very little threat to anybody. This reuse of monsters is something I'm hoping to see a lot less of in Scenario 2. Look at the large list of monsters and enemies available in Scenarios 2 and 3. It looks promising. I'm going to have a lot more variety there, and the enemies are going to scale better as we go through various iterations of power with our Force. Alright, get Eldar in there as well. That's the 6th ruin. And there's only one item in there that we really need. There's a couple of other nice things. There's a Mithril, Dark Matter, and a Potion. All those are kind of nice to have, but the item we're really after is the Mitra Ankh, which is the ultimate weapon for Grace in this particular scenario. In fact, arguably in the entire game. That's all 3 scenarios put together. It's very nice. It allows us to summon a being called Thanatos. He's a very powerful light attacker, and he does hideous amounts of summon damage. Now, you remember I was talking about this gimmick? Yeah, there's a bunch of barrels blocking the way. So, of course, if we use the Arc Halberd in just the right position, we'll be able to blow all of them up. And it does take a while, so you'll forgive me if I speed this up a little. Enjoy the NES-style sound effects. That's more appropriately Master System. Mass destruction of the barrel kind. And down they go. That's where the large mithril is hidden. Intercepting the thief will be of no issue whatsoever. We just fly Eldar over there, he grabs the Ankh, we smack him, take the Ankh, and that's it. Far easier than previous dungeons, as you can clearly see. In the meantime, I want to try and get this Mass Monk out of the way before he's able to cause us any problems. Still one of those casters who's got the Blaze and the Freeze level 3, so it's not something we really want to see. Now, you might think that annoying the Minotaur at this point is a bad idea, but the Minotaur won't engage from that distance. His AI is a bit stupid. The Mass Monk, on the other hand, going in with the Blaze 3 shouldn't be too much of a problem. Masquerin has fire resistance. Khan taking quite the hit, but nothing really to worry about there. And Noon's elemental resistance also relatively high. Now, of course, the Mass Monk is going to be toast very, very soon indeed. Without a doubt. Can't hit the Minotaur from there. Using Hayward to do damage to the Minotaur is probably the best idea. In the meantime, however, we can clear the Mass Monk out. Oh, yeah. No chance of survival there. Skip forward just a little bit. We're going to try and engage the Minotaur at range. Basic Ice Hour there. You'll note that level 1 critical hits, you know, the lesser damaging ones, do seem to happen more often against tougher opponents. Why that is, I couldn't tell you. Now, Spiriel's getting into the fray, and it's a good job that we did put Khan there. Not a massive hit. Khan's defense, as we know, very, very high. A Death Drive would have done a lot more damage. But as per basically anything that's Bullzome aligned, she seems to want to go for the Monk.
Can you beat my ninja technique?
Well, that is a good question. Can she beat your ninja technique? Apparently not. The rare examples of Hagan's pretty atrocious voice acting there. Well, not as much damage as I expected, to be honest. I was thinking we'd have a ninja barbecue very soon. Have the opportunity to keep Hagan ticking for another day. And back up to full you go. Now, what we want to try and do here is to keep Spiriel asleep and then move the force past. Unfortunately, they've set it up in a quite cunning fashion. These Spiriel aren't very dangerous, but they do serve to delay us, and of course they can block off yet another choke point right there. We're going to have to get through them in order to make our way past, and the longer we're delayed, the more likely it is that Spiriel will snap out of it and start killing members of the force. This is a constant threat. Every now and again, it is possible to sneak past Spiriel, and then Spiriel will just stand there when she wakes up, as long as you're far enough away. However, of the 5 playthroughs I've done that, I think it's only ever happened once. So I'm not going to count on it. We may have to deal with fighting from the front and the rear, 2 very dangerous boss characters. Now, Sybil has served her purpose in this dungeon, so might as well just grab what's in there. Throw away the fairy powder. I don't even think I'm going to use it, but hey, it's 900 sale value. Nothing wrong with being a completionist, I always say. Nothing wrong at all. Now, I want that Minotaur dead, because if it comes up and smacks Noon or any of the other more vulnerable characters, then, well, they're not going to stand much of a chance. Level 1 Wendigo should suffice. And it does. 69 damage, down goes the Minotaur, and that's the threat of him annihilated for the time being. We're going to have to deal with a couple more over there near Basanda, but that can wait. At least we know they're going to be attacking from the front and not the rear. You may notice the residual roar there in the background. Yes, that's one of the frequent sound errors that Shining Force 3 does get. As a direct result of the way that it processes the graphics, I've probably mentioned this before, but it utilizes the sound chip in a rather innovative manner to accelerate the graphics, which is why you can load in and out of those 3D scenes so fast. Saturn not known for its 3D prowess. Unfortunately, of course, it can cause a variety of interesting audio artifacts, including the music disappearing at random, sound effects sounding odd, and in that case, the sound not actually going off fully. Cerberus proving absolutely no challenge whatsoever for Dante's Lance, and a nice hole in their defenses, which we should be able to move around very nicely. One of the coolest looking moves in the game, still one of my personal favorites. Down you go. Okay, skip forward a little bit here, just so we can see Eldar moving to intercept. There is, I believe, a potion in that barrel, so we might as well kill it. There's only one exit out of this place, so the thief's going to have to pass Eldar, at which point he will get smacked about. There we go, potion, nothing wrong with that. It's full heal, remember, we've only used 1 or 2 of those, and they are available in a finite amount only. You can't actually buy those. Not readily available anyway, occasionally they pop up in the special deals, or through haggling. Now's the time to move past. Sneak very, very quietly. There's a real danger here. Spiriel's AI, as we have seen, is rather unpredictable. Pen showing that dog who's boss. Can easily clear him out of the way and start moving past. Now, I would like some of our stronger characters near Spiriel, just in case she decides to snap out of it and lay the smackdown. And there we go, that's the first time we've seen that one. That comes from the Ultra Lance. It's very odd animation, as you can see there. It's like it's totally broken, but it does utterly destroy its target. And Spiriel's woken up. That's going to make things a little bit more unpleasant. Going for the sleep. Can she beat his ninja technique?
Can you beat my ninja technique?
Or is it ninja technique? Like Vorsprung Dirk Technique. Well, I can't even pronounce it. No, that's not good at all. So we're going to have to hopefully rely on Noon there, see if Noon can put her back to sleep. If not, well, we could have a dead character on our hands. That wouldn't be so good, would it? Well, let's go and have another look in here. Thief is on its way, and is going to drop whatever it took. Thank you very much.
Bloody spin!
Oh, yeah. Thieves, as you notice, actually got quite tough by now. One of the only monsters in the game to actually upgrade every single chapter. In fact, it probably is the only monster in the game to do that. But nice if some of the other monsters scale, wouldn't it? Right, let's get forward a bit. We've gotten the item we need, and in comes the Griffin, which we saw last battle. Not particularly dangerous, and do a little bit of damage. Relatively tough flying creatures, easily taken out by Hayward, so let's demonstrate that. Make use of that attack bonus. That's the Mesmer. Is it going to be a kill? Not quite, but that's a big hit. And Griffin inexplicably not falling from the sky there. Right, Hagan. Let's see if we can get you out of harm's way. I somehow doubt it. Now what we're going to try and do here is we're going to move down. It's a very limited space we have to maneuver there. You've got to be extremely careful. The chances of getting anyone across the bridge, very unlikely. We will most likely end up fighting on the bridge, which means a rather careful shuffling of our characters. Now skip forward just a little bit there. So we've moved all the way past Spiriel. And there's a lot of maneuvering going on. You can see that I've got some of my tougher characters lined up against the back wall, just in case Spiriel decides to take a pot shot. Now, this is a risky business. What we want to do is try and tempt a couple of the creatures across the bridge so we can deal with them. We don't want to get all bunched up, because we can become susceptible to Basanda's Blaze 3, or of course eat the AoE magic with that Masked Monk over there. Masked Monk backing off a little. So we're going to have to be very sneaky about how we pull this off. Obviously, I want to put Hayward in a position where he'll be able to hit the enemy. And he's going to be one of the very few characters, in fact, the only character who's able to hit from there. Oh, dear. Spiriel aggroing onto Hagan, and I...
Die.
Yeah. That's likely. Hagan, absolute toast, eating a death drive, and very, very dead indeed. Right, it looks like we're going to have to deal with both of them. And... my hopes that she would stick around over there and just keep herself to herself is somewhat evaporated by now. Oh well. That means we're going to have some strong characters in the back wall there, try and keep Spiriel perhaps on Kite, keep Kite healed up, and engage with our other characters across the bridge. This is going to take a while. It's a long and relatively intricate fight where we'll have to swap our characters in and out. Full swing hitting Khan, not for a massive amount of damage, but again, Khan is at risk of eating more AoE magic there, so we're going to have to be a bit careful. This really is a shuffling act. It's very tricky. We want to swap the characters around so that we're not taking too much damage on any one character at any given time. Of course, if that happens and the line collapses, then we're in serious trouble. And of course, we don't want our characters to die. So what we'll be doing is we'll be attacking with characters, say, like Dantes and Khan, then moving them back, so trying to leave one square available for them to swap in another character. It's the best way to deal with it. Just the amount of damage coming in, it takes a little while to heal everyone back up again. Let's hope this sleep goes off.
Spirits, help me.
We'll continue casting sleep in the hope that we are able to minimize the amount of damage Spiriel is able to do. Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to eat something this turn, so let's move Kite back there and have him hold his position. And the AI, if it decides to be predictable today, will go for Kite, and Kite should be able to take the damage. You see, we've got a little bit of space there at the back that I would like to leave for the moment. And I'll put Pen there just in case she decides to be unpredictable, try and block her off from some of our more vulnerable characters like Masquerade Grace and Hayward. As well, equip the spear to do a little bit of damage here. It's not the ideal setup, so it looks like I'm going to be moving around quite soon. Okay, we're gonna have to deal with Basanda. That's a hit on 2. This is gonna be unpleasant.
Lord Buza, give me your power.
I'm using misspelling there of the summon, but that doesn't make it any less deadly. Khan might survive this barely. That is very close indeed. Dante's taking the heavy hit there. It's not too bad. On 2, it would be absolutely lethal to 1. The damage increases. It's not even just a half or split, it's like an exponential increase. Now what I can do, of course, is back Khan off here and heal him back up to full with a level 3. Well, he's close enough at any rate. His healing isn't that great because of the weapon he's using. Might be something we'll look into before the next fight. Just maybe kit him out with something a little bit more magic attuned. And we're gonna eat... Well, we could have eaten a nasty blaze there, but instead we're gonna get hit with a stick. Okay. I'm personally not complaining. Right, Spiriel going for Kite. Kite, of course, going to take extra damage. Halberd that Spiriel's wielding. This is going to hurt. Nothing that 64 HP and a ton of defense won't deal with, though. Still half the health gone there. We should be able to keep Kite up without too much of a problem, as long as the fight doesn't go on too long. So we start running out of mana, that's going to be a bit of an issue. That's going straight down there, no problems whatsoever. That's opened up a little bit of space that we can maneuver into. See if we can get someone else at the front there. I think that person's going to be Grace, but we can utilize the aura here. That'll be very handy. As you might imagine, the next 10 or so minutes are basically going to be unedited. This is a constant battle and a case of maneuvering everyone around in order to keep them all alive. So we shall do it in the greatest possible detail. There's a Minotaur moving forward there to take advantage of the space, but that's going to be quite nice. So we're going to be able to use Dantes against the Minotaur, kill the Minotaur, and then push forward again. That's also a nice group we could hit with an unpleasant AoE, perhaps. Can we reach from there? Yes, we can. Let's blast them with the Spark 3, recently acquired by Mascarin. Big, heavy spell, lots of damage. A lot of mana cost, but well worth it when you see its effect. Ripping the Minotaur in half. Doing a big hit on Basanda there, so you can see that multiple health bars stacked on top of each other. Minotaur taking some hefty damage, should be able to at least knock one of them out this turn. Hold Irene back there as a reserve healer. We want her to be in range of the people who are taking damage, otherwise she's not going to be of any use to anybody. Now her heals are very powerful. Arguably the best single target healer we've got at the moment. Whereas Grace takes the biscuit in terms of the aura. Now we can fly Eldar around there, but the idea of flanking Basanda is basically suicide. It will involve getting blasted with Thanatos, and then Eldar will be very, very dead. So we're not going to do that. What we can do is unleash a little bit of fury here from Pen. Won't be a huge amount of damage, of course, but it's better than nothing. And he's one of the few characters at the moment that can actually hit them. Taking off another sliver of Basanda's health, and the Minotaur down to 1. Now, Sybil, of course, moving on. What we don't want is for Spiriel to decide that Sybil is a tastier target than Kite. It's not likely, but you never know. And what we also want to do is get Eldar all the way over there to give the Mitraang to Grace, so we can unleash some damage from there. Okay, now would be a reasonable opportunity to get rid of one of these Minotaurs. Rather get the one at the front, to be honest. No point wasting potential damage. We know the Ultra Lance should be enough to kill the Minotaur.
Prepare to die.
Or that. That works too. I'm okay with that. And the friendship between Pen and Dantes grows. What a beautiful thing. Now this is not so beautiful. 6 mana points is enough for one more cast of sleep. Then we're going to have to dig in our pouches and see if we can find one of those goddess tears. At least that one was effective. I'll keep Spiriel out of the action for a little while. Sander deciding to well, of course, Basanda doesn't really have an option, I suppose, unless she wanted to move right to the front, which would put her in a very vulnerable position. It seems the AI is programmed to be a little bit cautious. Rightfully so. Excellent, that's support level 2. That'll be very handy in the closing battles of this scenario. Right, Basanda is on her own at the end of the bridge, which means we can swap around just a little bit. Not in range with Hayward at this point. Not helpful. I'd like Basanda to come forward a little bit, but I don't know whether or not that's going to happen. Probably just stand there and hit Khan and Dantes with the Thanatos over and over again. That's what I do in that situation. Wear us down very slowly. Right. Might as well use this opportunity since we don't have the range now. One of the advantages of having the Minotaurs on the bridge was we could hit Basanda with a large area of effect. That can't happen now. I'm gonna be brutally honest, I don't know what I was actually thinking by doing this. It makes no sense at all. Didn't engage my brain. Oh well. Makes Irene feel important, I suppose. It's moral support. Can we put Eldar up front? We can. Eldar should be able to deal with that kind of damage. And that means we've got a nice big group of 3 there. So let's start getting some physical damage on Basanda. Look at how many health bars. You think that's a lot? You ain't seen nothing yet. Oh no. Just consider. Basanda has 280 hit points, which consists of about 3 health bars worth. Consider the fact that the last boss of the premium disc, which is Dark Soul, has 7,500. How many health bars is that going to be? Alright, it's doing the less smart thing here, splitting the damage, which is what I was hoping would happen. Admittedly, she didn't have to. That's the very odd thing about it. Now, we never claimed the AI of this game was particularly good. It does get better as the scenarios goes on, thankfully. Minor damage. Do more damage to my retinas than it does to them. This is more of curiosity than anything else. Bolzome High Priests tend to have a shield. I don't think Basanda does, but I'm just gonna give this a try anyway. We've got still got the Elbazam Orb sitting around. I wonder if this actually does anything. Well, other than give me a mild stroke, no. I don't believe we have the range here either. It's an unfortunate situation. And Spiriel now back on her feet, just to make matters worse. Makes it very difficult, because we can't really move our back line all that much. So we have limited strategic options. Well, we're okay on mana for the time being, so that should be alright. Now, let's get Noon charged up a little. Interesting point that you're about to notice here. This is an item, but it benefits from the magic support. You see there, 29 mana points, as opposed to the 20 it's supposed to give. And that's because of the support relationship, the friendship indeed, between Noon and Mascarin. Very handy, something to bear in mind. Now, I'm going to back Eldar off at this point. Eldar is not our best damage dealer. I'd like to have someone a little bit more threatening up there. Plus, I want to give the Mitra Ankh to Grace, so that we can show you our own little version of Thanatos. It's rather effective. In the meantime, perhaps we should unleash Pen. Evidently not. Pen chickening out, the sight of the dangerous High Priest, and standing still. Not the most reliable of sorts, is he? Right, let's get that sleep back on there. It seems to work 1 in every 2 attempts. It's...
help me.
It's a roll, really, against the luck of Spiriel. And there we go. Success. Always a good thing. Now, of course, I realise now I've backed myself into some kind of bizarre corner, and I'm not going to really get anywhere here unless I move this Khan or Pen out of the way. In the meantime, I'm just going to be eating Thanatos. Thanatos level 2 does drain mana in a rather excessive fashion. We could, theoretically, simply drain Basanda, but it's going to take a long time. No point. Some of the later bosses actually regain mana, so that never happens. I'm trying to remember if there's one in this scenario that does it. I think there might be one. Only one. Later on in Scenario 3, where things get a lot harder, you will see that quite often. I'm also thankful that this particular boss doesn't have another nasty little mechanic, which is 2 turns per round. Very nasty. Yes, able to take 2 actions. Spiriel back up again. Beginning to get rather sick of it all, I think. Grace's mana's getting a little bit low. Now, if I use this, I'll have enough mana for a Thanatos, and that'll be it. Excellent. Masquerade's so desperately trying to get into the fray, but arranging this is going to be an absolute pain. Obviously, her range is rather limited. We're going to have to back off Hayward, and back off Dantes as well in order for that to happen. However, Sander is getting rather low on health, so we might not need that. Especially with a good special here from Pen. Big hit, 41 damage, and that's down to the last health bar. 92 HP remaining. Not very likely that we'll be able to take her down in a single turn, but we're getting close. And at the moment, she's not really posing too much of a threat. Sings Spiriel, he has another lullaby. Well, that didn't work so well. Now, finally deciding to go for the single target strike, as opposed to all 3 of them. It's going to hit 2 regardless. She's not going to be able to hit just one of our characters, in which case Pen would have been toast. It's a big hit, but Pen does have rather good resistance to light magic, so not as bad as it could have been. You'll see Pen take a lot less damage than Hayward there. Everyone running very low on mana. It's really becoming a case of having to finish this off quickly. And get Hayward out of the way for the time being.
I'm going to kill you.
Very, very slowly. Not the nicest of people, is she? Right. Let's see what our own Thanatos can do. I wish they'd normalize the voice acting so you can actually hear half of it. Lord. Reasonable hit. I've seen better. I'd imagine that boss has some resistance to that particular magic. There are other creatures that do not, and you can see the smackdown laid a little bit later on, perhaps in a future battle. Keep that one for a special occasion. But that has taken her down 56 HP. Can we finish it? This is very risky. It's a 0 count. Will it kill? No, it won't, but very close. No insta-kill there. We've got one opportunity, one chance. If Pen fails this, then Eldar is dead, as is Pen. So cross your fingers, folks. And he comes through in fine style. Basanda taking the last bit of damage, and down she goes. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching Let's Play Shining Force 3 Battle 27. Getting so close to the end of this scenario, folks. I will see you next time.